Welcome into Sportsmemo's betting podcast for April 25th. It is Thursday, NFL Draft Day tonight, so we'll be talking about that with Robbie Veno. Also hit on the NBA playoff game tonight and MLB action as well. We'll throw it all out there. Robbie, welcome into the podcast. How you feeling?
I am great today, Drew. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man, and excited to break down these NFL draft props. Want to just throw it to you, man. Are there any draft props that you've bet as of right now, and any we want to throw out to the listeners?
Yeah, there's a couple correlating ones, Drew, that I'm looking at and probably will get to, and they have to deal with the wide receiver position. There are a couple of props out there. One is the draft position of DK Metcalf, the wide receiver from Ole Miss. The number posted here is 18. Will DK Metcalf be selected within the top 18? My stance would be no, so I will play no on that. And a correlating bet to that is another proposition that says, will a wide receiver be selected number 15 or lower, meaning 1 through 14, so you get 1 through 15. And if DK Metcalf's not going to go in the top 18, then no receiver, in my estimation, is going to go in the top 15. So I will play no on both of those, one a little more expensive than the other. But I don't think you'll see a wide receiver leave the board before number 18 here. There'll be a slight run, and the way I see it, in the 20s, where you'll get a lot of these guys, N'Keal Harry, A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, Hollywood Brown from Oklahoma. You'll get those guys going in the 20s, but I don't think anybody's going inside the top 15 here, Drew. This draft is way too top-heavy with defensive talent and outstanding defensive talent, and, of course, you're probably going to see 3 quarterbacks go within the top 15 as well. So for me, those 2 wide receiver props would be no. One, DK Metcalf individually, and the other, any wide receiver being picked in the top 15.
Yeah, Robbie, it's interesting. And, the quarterback position is the most important. There's no arguing that. But in my opinion, these guys, it's a down quarterback class. So I feel like if you're picking these quarterbacks, the teams are going to be up against it, having a kind of like a career franchise type quarterback. Do you feel the same way?
I do. As a matter of fact, and I always put personal bias for teams aside, obviously, for the last 30 years where business is concerned, but I've grown up my entire life and still remain a fan of the Denver Broncos. And, Denver has a number 10 pick. I'll give you a real quick personal story here between myself and my youngest son graduated University of Missouri, where Drew Lock will be one of the top 3 QBs selected here tonight, and probably rather early. And his name has been attached to Denver for the better part of about 2.5 to 3 months now. I'd say ever since the Senior Bowl. And having watched a lot of Drew Lock, obviously with my son there, and my son himself having seen a lot of Drew Lock, I don't want the Broncos to take Drew Lock at number 10 because I just think it's a reach and it's not worthy, kind of to the point that you were just making. And boy, my son's relentless. He'll text or call each and every day just to break my stones and tell me that there's another mock draft that has Drew Lock going to the Broncos. So I hope that they don't do it from a personal standpoint and as a fan of Denver. But I agree with you that outside of Kyler Murray and Dwayne Haskins, it's a quarterback draft where the next guy should probably be selected in the 20s. It's nowhere near as quarterback rich as what we'll see next year when Justin Herbert and those guys come to the NFL draft. So, teams get desperate for quarterbacks, Drew, right? We see it every single year. They trade up, they reach for a guy that they think is their quarterback of the future, and perhaps, no better fact or no better example of that than what we may see with Daniel Jones of Duke here tonight, because it looks as if he's going to be a mid to early first round pick.
Yeah, and Daniel Jones is a great example. I mean, I watched, I think every game, if not, 10 plus games of Duke this year. And when he got injured and was banged up, there was a drop-off in talent, but to say he's a top 10, should be a top 10 pick, man, I don't see it. And David Cutcliffe, a lot of people think it's a positive, and it is a positive for his overall college football career. But to ceiling wise to go to the NFL, yeah, in the first 2 years, he's going to have a step up being a rookie. But after that, I feel like, having Cutcliffe as his coach might actually work against him because Cutcliffe got so much out of him in college. I don't know if you view it like that.
Well, obviously, David Cutcliffe is a known quarterback guru, so to speak. He has coached a lot of quarterbacks up in his time. And there is, of course, the association of Jones to the Manning camp and Cutcliffe trying to, connect the two together, Jones and Manning's talent-wise. But I certainly, you can't see it at Duke. Maybe he can't exhibit it at Duke the way he could have at a university where the talent surrounding him would have been better. I know he was nicknamed the Truth when he came to Duke as a freshman, highly touted. He's got mobility. He's got the smarts to play the position. And, you wonder about the accuracy a little bit, Drew. A couple of years ago, you watched Daniel Jones play, and Duke's offense was absolutely miserable. They couldn't run the football. They couldn't pass protect for him. His receivers couldn't get open. All that being said, those things that you could use to justify drafting Daniel Jones, I would say, on the other hand, there were some inaccuracies in thrown balls to open receivers. So he was as much to blame as anybody. Played a little bit better this year. If you drop Daniel Jones in at a different university, if you put him at Texas Tech in an air raid system, if you put him at Washington State with Mike Leach, would his numbers have been increasingly better? Absolutely. I just don't know how to gauge him right now. I don't think he's a top 10 first-round pick, which I've heard some rumblings toward here tonight. And I don't even know that he's worthy of a mid-round first pick in my estimation. Now, I just haven't seen it on the field. I'm more of a production guy than a, 40-time measurable type thing. If you can be accurate and you can read defenses, I don't really care about the arm strength, which Daniel Jones isn't noted for. But, it's hard to say, Drew. He certainly didn't prove it on the field at Duke that he's worthy of that highest selection.
And Robbie, you're a guy that's been to the NFL draft many times with your family, and seeing how it kind of works, people walking up to the podium and stuff. A lot of these prop bets, I like to bet because it's not on the field. Now, granted, you can't bet this in Vegas, but you can bet it offshore, just because it's very hard to handicap. A bet like first hug from the overall number one pick, his mom or the field. Do you think there's any value in that?
And you know what? I think where Kyler Murray is concerned, Drew, you could almost go back to and watch the Heisman tape when he received the Heisman Trophy at the table and just take a look, at who he hugged first in that situation. And I would probably say that you can expect a repeat situation. I think in Kyler's case, it was his mom that was first. So tonight in the green room at the NFL draft, you would assume it would be his mom again. But for anybody, when the NFL Super Bowl props come out, and that one in particular on the singer of the Star Spangled Banner, and how long will it take over under, a lot of people run right to the tape, rightfully so, and try and time how long it took if the singer has had a previous recording of the national anthem at an event. So I think the same would be just here. You would go back, see how it went down at the I'm trying to remember off the top of my head as I speak here, and I can't remember, even having watched the Heisman Trophy ceremony, if it was his mom first, but I'm sure the tape's available. You go check it out, and I would just go with that. It's very likely that the same scenario will happen tonight.
Good stuff, Robbie. And any other NFL draft props you want to bring up before we move on to the NBA playoffs?
Yeah, aside from the wide receiver props, I do like a couple of those. I think that DK Metcalf won't go inside the top 18, so I would select no on that. And I don't think a wide receiver will go inside the top 15. So I like that. Other than that, the the draft is so fluid right now. One I took a look at very quickly here, Drew, and I still might get to is, will Josh Allen, the linebacker or the edge rusher from Kentucky, kind of a hybrid DE/linebacker, will he be selected as a top 3 pick? And I really believe he's going to be one of the top 3 here. Now, you can get a pretty good price, plus $3, where I'm looking right now on Josh Allen being selected in the top 3. I think that that's more than worthy of a look and a bet, because once you get past Kyler Murray, once you get past Joey Bosa, in that 3 position, the battle becomes Quinnen Williams or Josh Allen. And at plus $3, I think Josh Allen's certainly worth a little flyer here tonight. So that's one that I would look at as well.
See, you bring up Joey Bosa. I like Quinn Williams more. I think the team that picks him is going to get more out of him. Bosa with, he didn't play the rest of the year with his team. I don't like that kind of mindset from a player. I would like, Kyler Murray, Quinn Williams, and then Josh Allen. But I think I'm definitely in the minority there, Robbie.
I'm with you on Josh Allen being a top 3 for sure. And the Joey Bosa thing, it is kind of a what have you done for me lately mindset with him. We didn't get to see him on the field this year whatsoever. He was injured, and when it was time that he could come back, where he was cleared by the doctors, he decided he wasn't going to come back. So he went and did his own private workout. So we didn't get to see anything this season out of him. How teams would have perhaps gone to different double teams or whatever after seeing him the year before. We didn't get to see Joey Bosa this year react to adjustments made by Big Ten offenses. So it's, again, tough. We did get to see Quinnen Williams, and Quinnen Williams obviously stood out. So I'd be with you there. If it were my pick and it were number 2, Quinnen Williams, a guy that can pass rush up the middle, I'd probably go that direction. But boy, most think that it's going to be Joey Bosa, even without any production on the field this past season.
Yeah, and I bring up Quinnen Williams just because in the past, Donovan Sue, other guys, if you have a defensive tackle that can absolutely get after it, it changes the game. And that's why I just think it's a little bit more of and nothing's for sure, but it's a little bit more, I don't know, in my opinion, as far as what NFL teams need and what helps them the most. I think Quinn Williams is a little bit safer, I guess, of a pick. But Robbie, let's move on to the NBA playoffs. We got Denver at San Antonio tonight. 208.5 the total. -3 San Antonio laying in this one. But before we get to it, do want to remind everybody the promo code. It's a big one for today. It expires at midnight for the draft. Draft 33 at checkout for any handicapper. You can get 1, you can get 3, you can get every handicapper on sportsmemo.com for 33% off today until midnight. The full season NFL college football season for 33% off. That's over $450 of savings until midnight. You can get Robbie Veno, Drew Martin, Teddy Covers, Brent Crow, any guy for 33% off using the coupon code DRAFT, DRAFT 33 at checkout. Coupon code DRAFT33 at checkout for that savings. Let's talk NBA playoffs here, Robbie. Denver, San Antonio. San Antonio -3, 208 the total.
Yeah, the last time we talked on the podcast, Drew, we had Denver-San Antonio Game 4, I think. And at that time, I had pointed out the increase in Denver's field goal percentage through the first 3 games. They went from 42% field goal shooting to 48%, and then up to 52% in Game 3. And then Game 4 saw them as a road underdog plus the points, and I thought that was a trend that would put me on Denver, which it did. Denver wins that game in San Antonio by 14, comes right back and wins Game 5 by 18. And they've been very good offensively since that first game. Like I said at the time, it seemed as if they had figured San Antonio's defense out. In their win in Game 5, they shot 50% again. And it's San Antonio's offense that's been dwindling the past couple of games, down to 41.1%. in that 18-point loss the other night, and only 47% the night before, the game before, after having shot over 48 in every game. So, as these series get deeper, teams tend to know each other even better. They know what plays they're going to run. It comes down to execution. Couple of things here, though, that might favor the San Antonio Spurs here tonight is that your role players, and it's been a long true adage that your role players play better at home in the playoffs than they do on the road. For San Antonio, we've seen nothing out of Patty Mills the past couple of games. We've seen nothing out of Marco Bellinelli the past couple of games. We've seen nothing out of Rudy Gay the past couple of games. And those guys right there, I think, giving that DeRozan and Aldridge are just givens. They're going to get theirs. You need these other guys to play well here tonight, and I think they probably will in a must-win situation. The question becomes, is San Antonio good enough? They were a 7 seed for a reason, and Denver was a 2 seed for a reason, and it seems like Denver woke up at some point in this series, right around game 3 after they got shook by 10. I think that Denver's proven to be the better team here, Drew, but I don't want to go against the home team in this instance. Greg Popovich, a real good motivator as a coach, and I do think that those guys I mentioned, the reserves for San Antonio, will play better. One other thing to note here real quick is Denver has hit 15, 15, and 14 threes in their last 3 games, and they're not generally a great three-point shooting team. Maybe San Antonio's defense in a cornered situation picks it up tonight. It leaves me in a quandary as to whether to play the game at all. I probably won't get on the side total here. We saw it bounce go as low as 207 early this morning. Now we're staring at 208, 208.5 again. Line and total are probably in a real good spot here. Be interesting to see if San Antonio can get a win here and bring it back to Denver for Game 7.
Good stuff in the NBA playoffs, Robbie. Guys, coupon code DRAFT33 at checkout for Robbie Veno, for Teddy Covers, Drew Martin, Brent Crow, any guy on sportsmemo.com. Coupon code DRAFT33 at checkout takes 33% off NFL, college football, full season service. We're doing an early bird here for the draft. It expires at midnight tonight. Let's talk on the diamond betting tonight, 7:10 Eastern first pitch, Detroit at Boston. Robbie, we got Zimmerman versus Porcello. Porcello commanding almost $2 here, minus 197 at Pinnacle. Looks like minus 202 at Bet Online. 9.5 the total, Robbie. Got anything on the Tigers and Red Sox tonight?
Yeah, it's interesting, Drew, because we talk often here on the podcast, the Sports Memo podcast, and we have for years about bettors and handicappers being proactive. If you see something that you think is about to come to fruition, we try and get in ahead of the curve so that we can get in on what would be perceived value before everybody realizes what we're seeing, and then lines just don't provide as much value anymore. Here, it's really, really, really short term. In fact, it's minimal. It's minute. But I think in a proactive way, I would be on Boston run line here tonight, minus 1.5 runs. I think they're going to lay about 10 cents. Couple of reasons. Porcello, obviously, overall has been a disaster this season. But we saw in his last start, and let me just give you how big of a disaster he's been with numbers, Drew. His game whip for his first 3 outings this year against Seattle, his game whip was 3.75. I don't know how you managed to put 4 runners on per inning, but it's not going to turn out good for you. Next game, 2.78, almost 3 per inning. Next game, 2.75, again, almost 3 base runners per inning. And then he shaved that all the way down to 1.23 in his last outing against Tampa. Now, we know that there are some pitchers that get off to real rocky April starts, and it takes a few starts for them to come around, just like it does for hitters. I'm going to say that even with this small example, 1 5 2/3 inning start against Tampa Bay, which happens to be the 11th rated OPS as an offense in Major League Baseball, I think that maybe Porcello's turning a corner. At least I'm going to step ahead here and try and be a little bit proactive with him. The other side of the field, in that dugout, they're going to march out Jordan Zimmerman, and Jordan Zimmerman's been a complete disaster his last 3 games. First 2 were pretty good, but how about these numbers? over the course of his last 3 starts. 9.22 ERA, 1.83 WHIP, all 3 losses, all 3 overs. Jordan Zimmerman has been banged around by all 3 of his last 3 opponents, so the numbers aren't skewed because he gave up 10 runs in one game and 2 and 4 in the others. He's been hit hard all 3 times. Boston's offense last night showed signs of life finally, especially in the clutch. Last year they were one of the best 2-out hitting teams, if not the best 2-out hitting team with runners in scoring position in the major leagues. Last night 7 in the bottom of the 8th. And if you read some of the player quotes, J.D. Martinez and company, they feel like they were on the verge of breaking out. Last night they feel like the dam started to burst and that there's going to be a continuation here of what should have been solid Boston offense from the beginning of the season. So I have 2 really, really small sample sizes. One on Robert Porcello, it's only 1 start. One on the Boston Red Sox, it's a 7-run 8th inning, and a couple of player quotes. But I find myself believing both of those small sample sizes, so I think I would lean towards Boston here tonight. Major League Baseball's funny, Drew, because we get 162 games a year, and we can take smaller sample sizes and get proactive a lot. It's a lot easier to get proactive because in a 162 game season, the line takes longer to adjust because it has to happen. Things have to happen for so many games before an odds maker adjusts. In a 16 game NFL season, a little more difficult to be proactive because odds makers see something one week, they probably change the numbers the next, power ratings wise. So here, gonna look to Boston. I think -1.5, -110. Even though it's the home team and the 8 at bats in the whole scenario, I think if Boston gets a hold of Zimmerman tonight, it could get ugly and they could win by 2 runs or more.
Robbie, great stuff as always. You got your MLB Thursday top-rated total up at sportsmemo.com. I also got one up on the Reds-Braves game on the diamond, so 2 MLB plays there. And we got the coupon code DRAFT33, taking 33% off of NFL college football full season action for this upcoming year, and it expires at midnight tonight. It will go back to regular pricing, so that coupon code DRAFT33 good all day for 33% off, $450 worth of savings off of full season NFL and college football this upcoming year. Coupon code DRAFT33. Robbie, thanks for the time. Good luck with your bet tonight, and have fun watching the NFL draft, and hopefully all your prop pets come in, man. And thank you out there to all the listeners. We'll be back tomorrow with Teddy Covers breaking down the NBA and MLB betting card.